Stuff is swank. Look at this. Look at the movement. Look at that. Huh? What'd you say? What is up, Flockers? That is my fellow Lockers and aspiring Lockers. In today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how to repair holes in your locks, or if you're interested in figuring out how to close the ends, the loose ends at the tips of your locks, I can also show you that. So if you're interested in seeing that, then stick around. Flockers, this video is by request. I had someone give me great video ideas, and actually they put them as two different questions or two different solutions, two different possible videos, but I'm gonna go ahead and combine them into one video because the method for both of these things are kind of similar in the tools that you use and the method that you use. So I have, dang, my whole world is just falling apart, stuff falling. So I have my crochet needles that I got off of Amazon. Anything I show today, I will link in the description below if you're interested in getting that stuff. So I have my crochet needles. I also have one that has 3 of these little things, but that's up in my bathroom. I forgot that one. And then I also have some Afro kinky hair. This is 1B, which is what my hair was before I colored it. So that's why I have this color. Make sure that you get color in yours. So, okay, so first off, fixing holes in your locks. There are a couple of different ways that you can fix holes in your locks, depending on what type of hole you have. Now, if you're talking about a hole from interlocking, then typically you can fix the hole of the interlock by just going through that hole and interlocking that hole the same way that you would interlock your roots. But if we're talking about a lock that possibly has thinned out somewhere in the middle or near the end, and maybe it's hanging on by several strands of hair but not enough and it's getting weak, then you can either, depending on, like I said, how it's attached or how it's hanging, you can possibly, like, this isn't a great example because I don't have any to show you, but let's say that in this lock, maybe somewhere right here, it was hanging on barely by anything. So what you could do is that you could fold that lock up kind of on itself like that. It's really hard to demonstrate, but like, so this part that's doubled up would be your thinner hairs or the hairs that's hanging on by a thread. And what I would do is I would simply take my crochet needle and I would, like I said, fold it on top of itself, kind of like that. Not fold the bottom up, but fold it so that that piece is kind of like that. And then I would crochet and go through it and crochet, and I'm not gonna do it on mine because I don't want to do my lock like that, but you would crochet the same way that you would crochet if you're creating locks. So you go through, dang, it's bright, and you literally pull the hairs through from different angles like that, okay? So you don't want to just go left to right. You want to go left to right. You want to go diagonal this way, diagonal that way as you're pulling hairs in, and make sure that you're turning the lock as you're doing it, okay? And it takes some practice, but as you do it, you rotate the lock as you're crocheting, so that way you're not just pulling from one direction and one side, but you're pulling from all directions and all sides. So that's the most natural way I think that you can repair a hole in a lock or a thinning lock. Another way that you can repair a thinning lock is to use human hair. So this is 100% human hair, or they say it is. I don't know, I can't verify that, but they say it's 100% human hair. This is the same hair that I've used to create all of my lock extensions. It dyes if you wanted to color your hair. It washes well, so if it's not 100% human hair, it sure acts like human hair. But anyways, so depending on how thick your locks are, if you have traditional locks, larger locks, Microlocs, you need to take an appropriate section of hair because you don't want to take a huge amount if you have thin locks like me. But you take a tiny amount of hair, of the human hair, and wherever that thin part is, you kind of just go ahead and wrap this extension hair around that part where it's thinning, okay? And then in the same way that you would do if it was just your regular hair that's growing out of your scalp, when I just showed you on the last example, you do the same thing. You go in and you crochet, and as you're crocheting and going back and forth in this movement, okay? Again, you're going up and down, you're going diagonal, you're going diagonal this way, diagonal that way. Every way that you can get this needle to go, you're twisting as you're going along, okay? You're twisting so that way you're pulling hairs in from all different sides. And this hair is going to be intertwined in your lock. Now, granted, make sure that you're getting hair that is your color or as close to your color as possible, unless you're planning on dyeing all of your hair, because it is gonna look funny if you patch up your locks with hair that is not the color of your locks. So make sure to try to at least find something that's close to your locks, unless, like I said, you plan on dyeing your entire head so that it won't be noticeable. So those are 2 ways that you can patch up holes in your locks. Now, if we are moving on to how to close up your loose ends, maybe you have different reasons for why you want to close up loose ends. Some people love the curly ends and love the look of them. I still have plenty of curly ends on my locks. Some of my locks have started closing up on their own. Some of them are still holding on to some curl pattern and just living their curly, happy life. And I personally want to allow my locks to do what they want to do. But I do know that some people don't want the curly ends. They don't want, can we talk about this length though, y'all? Like, every time I do a fresh retie, the length really do be lengthened. I think it's just this, it's an illusion, because you get a retie and you're all like, ooh, look at my length. And then in between those weeks, whether it's 6 weeks or 8 weeks that you're going in between your reties, your hair is shortly starting to shrink up, because you know it's growing out and you're getting fro at your roots. And so your hair is slowly kind of like going up this way. So by the time you get to the point where you need a retie, your hair has shrunken some. So when you do get that fresh retie, it's like on my neck, stuff is swinging. Look at this. Look at the movement. Look at the, hey, huh? What'd you say? All right, let me quit cutting up. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. Sorry, I was having a moment. So if you're wanting to close up your ends, which I do not, so again, I'm not going to fully do this on my lock, but I will show y'all what you would do. Yeah, some of these have already started closing up and not about that curly Q life on the end. But in the same way that you crochet up at the top, or the same method that I've showed you for everything else, you can simply go in. Let's say I wanted to turn this curly Q, and I personally would bend it up just a little bit, just so that there's a foundation, but you don't have to. You can just crochet as is, but you go in and you crochet it. Do I want to sacrifice a lock for y'all just to show you? That's how much I love y'all flockers. I'm gonna sacrifice a lock. All right, so you see, look, we got curly Q. It's not really locking at the end yet. One day it will, but all right, so I'm literally I've taken it and I'm folding it up the end. All right, just like that. And then I'm going to go in just the way that I've been telling y'all, and I'm crocheting the end of my lock. Okay? And in the same way, you're pulling from the bottom, you're pulling from sideways, the top. And it's hard to tell again because my lock is so small, but I am rotating my fingers as I go along. Just because, like I said, you want to make sure that you're constantly rotating your fingers so that, one, you're giving it a cylindrical kind of like, as you do it, you're keeping the hairs, I don't know how to explain it, y'all, but it keeps the cylindrical form when you roll your lock as you're crocheting it, okay? So I just barely did it. I didn't do it a ton, but if I kept at it, you see that? I don't know how well, because in the viewfinder I can't see, but when I look at it, I can see that at the end, it's tightening, and it's not that soft coil that it was before, okay? So again, whether you have traditional locks or you have smaller Microloc sister locks, you know, if you're doing them yourself, if you have a loctician, don't go in there and mess them up and then come back talking about some of your loctician told you not to touch your hair and DJ went out and told you to touch your hair, because I did not. I'm saying if you're doing your hair yourself and you take this on yourself, don't come back mad at me if something don't work out. So disclaimer, if you choose to do this, know that you might mess it up if you don't know what you're doing. So know what you're doing, watch some videos, make sure that you feel comfortable before you go in. But honestly, it's not much that you can mess up. All right, I don't need to get this close because of the thing. But yeah. Now, people with Microlocs and sister locks, I don't know that anybody's gonna have the patience to go through one by one and do this to all of their locks. But if you have thicker traditional locks, larger locks, I could definitely see you going in and doing this method to go ahead and lock up the ends. Why not? I just lost it. That mug just popped off. Wherever it is. I don't know where it went. This length is lengthened though. Y'all can tell me nothing. Nothing. Look at it. Y'all see that? All right, I'm done being goofy for now. If you found this video helpful or insightful at all, make sure to hit that like button, as it truly helps the channel and helps me to know what type of videos y'all are enjoying. And also hit that subscribe button so that you can join the flock and know when I put out new videos, put out new content. I'm constantly putting out content at least twice a week with fresh new videos, sometimes 3 times a week. So please stay tuned, and while you're here, watch some of the other videos that have popped up. I will see you there.